Ted Malloch, again, is a best-selling author in his own right. Writes for major newspapers across the country. Writes a lot of great stuff at WorldNet Daily and Infowars.com as well. And he joins us to cover Davos that's kicking off tomorrow and Trump that's going to be there on the 25th. Such huge news. But first off, navigating the art of spin. We should also give it your website as well, Theodore Roosevelt Malloch. The End of Ethics and some of your other great books we'll talk about. But what in the Hades? This is next level spinning here. It's like when Como got on CNN and said, we can read WikiLeaks, but you can't. If you read it, you'll go to jail. You have the document everyone's looking for, and they're saying, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. Alex Jones is fake news, even though I just had the former head of the NSA on. What do you say, Ted Malloch?
Well, I'd say gotcha. I think you got him. I mean, we've all been waiting for this memo. They say it's going to take 19 days to clear those black boxes so that we can see some of it. We're guessing what's in there. You've heard some of the Freedom Caucus members talking about it. They can't obviously disclose what's in it because they're, under confidentiality agreements. It's secret information. But this memo, I am told, is going to smoke a lot of people out of the FBI and the Department of Justice. So can't wait to see the whole damn thing.
I was about to say, the word is, a lot of the 4 pages is what's been redacted.
Yeah, of course, that's what it is, redaction. They black out boxes. I mean, there's some government documents, you get them, and there's one word on a page. Everything else has been blocked out or blacked out. So, yeah, I think we got him on this one, and Trump wants this out. This is going to get out.
Yeah, it sure is. Benny was giggling about who gave him a call. I'm just going to leave it at that. But Trump is on the hunt here, and that's really... We see the head of the EU. We see Macron admitting it's all collapsing. What you first predicted a decade ago when Davos man got out of it, as you're known as the Davos man. How does all this tie together? And their war on the American recovery. More and more, I see Communist China in the Washington Post admits buying off our universities, trying to finance the Democrats for government shutdown. I mean, it's not Russian collusion; it's Chinese collusion, from my research.
Well, there is certainly collusion on many fronts. I went to see this movie, which I hope you've seen and others should see, The Darkest Hour, this weekend, about Churchill coming to power after Neville Chamberlain, was such an utter failure trying to appease Hitler in 1940, May of 1940.
My dad this weekend saw it. He said it's one of the best movies he ever said. And he said it's an echo just like Trump. Is that what you're about to say, is that we were at our darkest hour?
Your father and I think a lot alike, as you know. And I wrote an article. It's going to come out this weekend in a major newspaper. The title of the article is Trump is Churchill. So, we're facing the same dark hour. We need a man of courage. And Trump is that man, and I make the comparison in the article. But what we're really here to talk about is of course, Davos. This is Davos week. I think you'll get a giggle out of this. Your listeners will. They had 30 inches of snow in Davos overnight, which is why I'm wearing this scarf. It's the most snow ever in a single day. So it's a real snow job this year. It was kicked off this afternoon when the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi, gave his speech, and Trump is, if the helicopters allow him to coming in with, I think, 7 members of his cabinet, Gary Cohn and General Kelly and everybody else. And he'll be speaking at the end of Davos this year on Thursday evening or Thursday afternoon. And wow. The theme of Davos, you'll get a kick out of this. There's always a major theme. The theme is creating a shared future in a fractured world. You want me to translate that for you?
Yes.
That means we have to go back to globalism because all of these nationalists and all of these protectionists and all of these Trump lookalikes are beginning and in fact succeeding in fracturing our globalism.
Well, yeah, exactly. They admit that. So it's falling like dominoes now, but I don't ever want to be hubris-filled and too confident, like the wolf says in Pulp Fiction. Let's not start you-know-what yet. I mean, how are they going to strike back, Mr. Malloch?
Well, they've got the major celebrities of the world going there. tons and tons, almost 2,500 people, CEOs galore. Kate Blanchett will be there. Elton John will be there. A lot of Bollywood stars, because of the Prime Minister of India, are there. So, I mean, when I was at Davos, you could share a hot tub with Angelina Jolie, but it's the celebrification of culture, and the way they're striking back is the ringmaster, the head man at Davos, Klaus Schwab, has gone on just before Davos started and given a big interview, and he's a very harsh critic of Trump and certainly of nationalism. And he said, and I want to quote him to get this right, "It is important that leaders not present a national perspective, but an international one here. And the presence of Donald Trump as president of the United States will hopefully provide him with a better global perspective."
Wow.
So what they're going to try to do is re-educate our dear president.
I don't think it's going to work too well. Let's talk about what Trump's going to do when he gets there on the other side with Dr. Ted Malloch. The magnitude of what's breaking. You know, Dr. Ted Malloch has been on the board of directors of Davos, called the Davos Man, but he was always there promoting Americana and global freedom and countries working together. But going back over a decade ago, headed up the Aspen Institute, another top elitist group, he really went public against him. But I've talked to a lot of folks that know Malloch back when we were looking at him on the show a few years ago, and they said, oh, Malloch's always been fighting the globalist. It's just that once we began to win, then it wasn't a joke anymore. And so now we're winning. But you read mainstream news, and Germany says, you promote nationalism, you're banned off Facebook, Twitter, or Google. We normally on Facebook, we have 5 million likes on our different platforms. One has like a 2 million, another has like 1 million. All together, it's about 5 million. They allowed 44 shares. During the break, I was talking to one of our social media people. He goes, oh, yeah, they're blocking people. When they hit share, it doesn't go out. You have to go to folks and post it yourself by hand. So Google, Facebook, Twitter, they are massively increasing things. And a lot of people go, I'm just going to be a globalist and a leftist because I want to be promoted on Facebook, Google, Twitter, and all this. So, see, you're selling out to be able to talk to a bunch of fake accounts most of the time. Doesn't matter. We've got over 200 AM and FM affiliates. We're getting a whole bunch of TV affiliates. We're blasting out despite all the censorship. And I'm not bitching about the censorship. I'm just saying this is classic authoritarianism. They want to kick the president off his Twitter. So, again, we're still winning. But we should not underestimate how the globalists are going to strike back. And, you know, Ted Malloch, you've got Donald Trump's big choice at Davos. A lot of people said, oh, he's a traitor going. I wish they'd let me in. I mean, all he does at these global events is stand up for America. Soldiers, snipers, and security at Davos. You've got that report. World Economic Forum in Davos out to heal a fractured world. You talked about it earlier. They're going to heal the fracturing under their control. One ring to rule them all and in the darkness bind them. So a true Sauron operation. Davos, peering behind the elite curiosity curtain. So you are the big Davos insider. Recap for folks your trajectory in life and how you got to the highest levels of this, and then why you yourself got out of it, Ted Malloch.
Well, I'm a scholar, a diplomat, strategist. I've been in a number of important places on Wall Street, in the State Department, Senate Foreign Relations Committee, you know, ambassadorial role in the UN. But I was invited when I was in Geneva, Switzerland, to become part of this Davos cabal in its early days, help them get American CEOs to come and help them develop some of their country strategies, industry strategies, bring some of the financial.
And how did you get involved very near the genesis of what is now, was the most powerful group in the world? Now they admit, as you said a decade ago, it's fallen apart.
Well, I mean, in my case, it was being in the right place at the right time. I was in Geneva, Switzerland. They're based in Geneva, Switzerland. They like smart people. Some people have claimed I'm a smart person. You know, I knew lots of Americans, had been in American corporate finance and in American financial circles. So they wanted what I had, access to people. And, you know, this was in the period around 1988. So Reagan was just ending his term, and the first Bush was coming to power.
Because listen, I'm not kissing your butt. People need to know you were a darling of Davos. You were like the cat's meow Davos man, exactly, helping bring it from powerful to really, you know, super powerful. And then that's why I want to know that trajectory, what made you get out of it?
Well, I write about this at some length in my memoir, Davos, Aspen, and Yale, about my life behind the elite global curtain, and the role that access that I had, the information that I had, the people I met. But I was always somewhat cynical about Davos, about its leadership, and about its very silly, we're going to save the world kind of mentality. We call it the Davosian spirit. And there is almost a spiritual New Age element to it. I mean, Davos has always been around and about, and it is very much this year, we'll talk about it, about risk, risk, risk. The world is always a risky place, and these are all the risks. They have a list of risks, and we're going to make it better. And the way we make it better is going through them, accessing their global power and using globalism to make it better.
Sure, you put them in charge, and they're all hopping around like New Age fairies.
That's the whole idea. They never talk about the rewards in the world. They don't want to talk about wealth creation. And in effect, what I believe, and I came to believe, and I believe it even more strongly now, that there's a kind of subtle anti-capitalism here. It's blatantly anti-religious, but it's really subtly anti-capitalistic. And there are a few people in this cabal, Soros among others, you go down the list of names, who really want to control things. So when you go to Davos, they talk about things like multilateral regimes. They talk about multilateral solutions. They talk about inclusive growth, about poverty, about the old 1%, owning all the wealth. They talk about this year climate change.
But I've noticed under their policy, Dr. Malloch, the third world's gotten poorer than ever, and the elite controlling all the wealth's gotten bigger than ever. It's funny. It's kind of like their carbon tax 7 years ago, doubling carbon taxes on third world countries than the West. It was actually the opposite of what they claimed they were doing.
Oh, there's been more wealth created, and it's gone to more people in the last 20 years than ever before. They don't want to really talk about that success model. They don't want to talk about really free enterprise. They're interested in what they call models of cooperation, which sounds nice, but it's really another way of saying
crony capitalism.
The UN and their goals of sustainability are really the only objectives for humankind.
So you're saying there are a group of billionaires, this is key, a group of billionaires committed to UN global governments so that they can have governmental power for their monopolies.
For themselves. And they have this corporate governance model called multi-stakeholder theory, where, again, they're not interested in shareholder capitalism as much as they are in, future generations or the environment. And if you go to Davos, if you use the re-word in front of every other word that you're going to use, every other verb in particular, then you'll be very accepted. So this year, they're talking about reshaping industry. That's the theme this year, reshaping industry. Everybody has to be global. Everything has to be global.
But that translates, means takeover. We run things. We're going to run your life. We're going to consolidate power. Let us run your life. We're liberal. We're trendy.
You sound like you fit right in, Alex. You could go over there and mouth it.
But really, they're going to slit your throat. That's the cover. Yeah, I get it. Keep going.
Well, last year at Davos, Davos happens, in the eastern part of Switzerland, in Graubünden, German part of Switzerland, actually the old Nazi part of Switzerland, interestingly. Very interesting history.
But as long as Nazis go, it's okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Last year, Davos took place just days after Trump was elected. So I went back and checked, and they said last year at Davos, Trump is going to be a normal president. Don't worry. Ignore his tweets. Ignore his bad behavior. He's going to mature and grow up. He's going to become presidential. This is a direct quote. He's going to be just like us. Wrong. Wrong. What they said is Davos, man, is very much alive last year, that there will be no travel ban, that NAFTA is the greatest thing ever invented, and there is no need, underline no need, to build a wall on the Mexican border. And economic growth under Trump will be worse than before. The dollar will be weaker than
Malloch,
before.
so we know they're shoveling bull. Do they believe this?
Oh.
Well, stay there. We'll come right back to you on the other side to finish up with this, because this is really important. Going back to Ted Malloch, who's been a big insider, one of the top guys at Davos, and what it's degenerated into and what it's telling us and what it told us was going to happen. You're basic. I mean, did they believe all this about Trump, that he would back down to them? Or were they trying to put a good face on it? What's happening to Davos? What's happening to the EU? What's happening to the New World Order?
Well, I mean, I think they're trying to hold their ground. They see the world is fractured. They admit that Trump is in part responsible for those fractures. And he surprised them and said, I'll take your invitation to Davos, and I'll come over there and I'll give you the same inauguration speech I gave last January in America, and I'll tell you the truth. Now, last year at Davos, Anthony Scaramucci, I don't know if you remember that name, he's a Davoser. He went and said that the president offers, and I quote him, great hope for globalism, that Donald Trump is really a closet globalist. Now, if you believe that for a minute, I've got some other bridge to sell you. Of course, Mr. Scaramucci lasted 10 days in the Trump White House. So I think that Trump's going to go there on Thursday, and he's going to take a victory lap, first of all, and tell them how great America is. The country is back. The economy is buzzing. We've got low unemployment. We've got high stock market performance. And it's a great place to invest now that we've got our corporate tax rate down to 21%. And all the other countries in the world, Canada included, are scared as hell because investment is going to flow into America. I think Trump is going to beat his chest and tell him, give up, join my pitch.
Keep going with what's happening at Davos.
Well, you've got your normal 300 sessions on very interesting topics, everything from swamis with headgear to, why you have to change your diet completely and become a vegan, to why the world is a riskier place by the hour. So you've got all these high-powered people high up in the mountains in the Swiss Alps, cavorting with each other, partying late into the night. I tell all the stories again in this memoir, Davos, Aspen, and Yale. Some of it is a little salacious. I don't want to talk about it online or on television.
Well, tell us a little bit. Folks are going to read the book, but this is a big party.
Well, it is a big party, and that's part of the reason people go. They pay $71,000 to attend. You heard me. If you want to be a member of Davos as a corporation, The Guardian last year said the price tag was $1 million. Maybe I should go like this when I say that, $1 million. So it's a big price tag, and all the corporate heavyweights are there, and they like to party and have dinner with each other and have all the latest celebrities in to talk to them and tell them how bad the world is and what risks we're up against, and decry what's happening in places in Europe where they're trying to take back their sovereignty. But it is an interesting party, and the Swiss air stewardesses are there to help you enjoy yourself. The dancing goes on until late the next morning.
Why is Davos and the EU so wedded to bringing in unvetted military-age men, stacks of articles in InfoWars today, where women say, I let them rape my children, it's liberal. Actual articles, I let him rape my daughter, he's an Afghan, he deserves it. Where does this death wish come from with Davos pushing at this Islamic love?
Well, I think that you will have a very strong sentiment in Davos, particularly by the European contingent, about why immigration and open borders is such a great thing. On the one hand, economically, they want cheap labor. On the other hand, they pretend to be humanists or humanitarian and are willing to basically, I guess, let 1 billion people cross their borders and take over Europe. They stopped them at Vienna, at the gates of Vienna, in the 17th century, but that's not happening today.
Exactly. The very Pope that has 200-foot walls says everyone must let them into your house. And then the feminist women go, rape me, kill me. Every day I see articles. They're so cultically controlled, they'll do what they're told. I mean, I don't know how the EU got women to literally basically slit their children's throats.
Well, I don't think that all European women are of that mind, particularly after they let 2 million people come from those countries, mostly males between 18 and 35, who have performed, well, very unadmirably in places like Sweden and Germany. So maybe people like Merkel have, quote, learned their lesson, but it doesn't seem that it's the case because the EU is trying to foist this policy on the rest of Europe, and in fact demanding that countries like Hungary and Poland and, you know, places on the periphery accept more and more what they call refugees or political asylum seekers, but they're really just economic migrants. Many of them, in fact, aren't even Islamic. They're coming increasingly from sub-Saharan Africa.
How many years ago did you say Davos is dead?
I wrote Davos is dead probably now about 6 or 7 years ago. And I think every year that goes on, you could say there's more and more evidence to that.
Sure.
And certainly last year we had the real nail in the coffin because we had Brexit in the United Kingdom. We had the resurgence of nationalism in many political parties across Europe. And most demonstrably, we had the election of Donald Trump as president of our United States.
And now all these other nationalists getting elected and free marketers getting elected. You did predict it first, along with Steve Pieczenik of the CIA and a lot of other people, this was coming. And I see it manifesting itself right now. And if the EU fell apart and it was free market, I wouldn't like that to happen. But it's an evil authoritarian system. And so, Ted Malloch, please join us coming up on Friday when President Trump is there right through the weekend as our correspondent for all the great work you're doing. Briefly, tell folks about your newest book about the joys of free market.
Well, I think we have to defend capitalism. So the former CEO of Cargill and I, retired CEO, you know, basically put our minds together and said, what can we learn reading the pages of the wonderful Common Sense by Thomas Paine at the time of the American Revolution that could be commonsensical today using our 5 wits to build better enterprises, more free enterprise, wealth creation. How could we do that? And where is it in fact happening? Because it's great, I'm a student of business and business history. It's great to talk about it in theory, but let's talk about places where it's actually occurring, where business cultures are in fact producing greater wealth, where there's more productivity. This is the kind of capitalism we have to support, not this globalism that they preach in places like Davos.
That's right. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Ted Malloch.